We are live
Week 12.
Week 12. Man, it's gone fast. Seems like week 1 was just a few weeks ago. Let's see. Looking over the week, another 50-50 week. Gator Day was 4-4. So we were at 50%, which not where we really want to be, but just not god awful bad. Obviously, it wasn't a good week for the Gators at all. But I do want to hit just a second. Went to New York last weekend. Actually didn't get to see the game because it was one of those crappy games and they weren't showing it in New York. So didn't get to see the game at all. But I did spend some good time with Public House and his brother Ian. We visited a place, as I talked about last week, called American Whiskey. It's a bar there in Manhattan. It is it's right there, not far from really the let me get this right here. It's really close to Times Square and such. So it's pretty cool, all decorated with all the Georgia Bulldog stuff. I wasn't wearing any Gator gear, of course, going in there. Went in incognito and watched the game with a bunch of Ian's old college boys from Georgia. So it was fun. Good food, good drink, good company. If you could call a bunch of Bulldogs good company, I don't know about that, but did enjoy the family for sure. Great time in the Big Apple. Did a little bit of sightseeing, walking around Chinatown, Little Italy, Times Square, all that kind of cool stuff. So we had a good time. Good time.
Right on. Glad to hear that.
Yep. Let's see. Going into the week, not a lot of real change in that top 7. Georgia still coming in at 1, Alabama 2, Oregon 3, Ohio State 4, Cincinnati 5, Michigan State. So kind of really where it ended up last week. None of the big ones really fell per se.
This is the week, though. This is the week we got some movement.
Yeah, we do have movement because the Big Ten starts playing each other in the last few weeks, right? So we've got some Big Ten games to maybe weed some things out up there in the top 10 for sure. So all these folks starting to play, and we'll see what happens as we go through the weekend. I know we've got one pick that we'll talk about here shortly, but really kind of a ho hum week really in terms of college football. The big boys are still up there, and we'll see what happens up there in the in the Big Ten as time goes on here.
Yeah, we're going to talk about one of those games a little later on here. So
yeah, absolutely. Now you did have some news from your school. I've been bitching and talking about news at Florida and some terminations, and you've got something to share with us, I think, right?
Yes. The athletic director Blake James is out at Miami. So
yeah. So what does that do to what's the thought behind it? Where's that? Where do you think it's going to take things? What are next steps, I guess?
I think Christmas came early, Dave, with that. It wasn't even a firing. They mutually parted ways. So, they worked out a little restructure, so, on this contract kind of deal. But I love it. According to the boosters and some of the higher-ups there, they're totally committed to throwing 20 to 30 mil annually into the football program now. They're going all in. They want to bring in an AD this is ultimately why supposedly Manny still has a job, is they want to bring in this new AD and give him the opportunity and, give him the full reins to do what he needs to do with the program. They're just trying to find that right guy. And it should take anywhere from, this week to, I'd say, before Christmas we should have somebody. I'm
So what? So that's obviously good news. All the stuff I've been reading
Oh, I'm
is saying
stoked. I'm
Packer
stoked
fans
about it. It's
are
it's
happy about that
way
one.
way above. Not even football. I mean basketball. Not to say Larinaga is a terrible coach or anything, but just where we were years past and where we are now. Baseball even, things of that. It's not where it needs to be. So he's had some lazy hires where he's just been hiring, promoting from inside the program. That got people fired up a little bit, and ultimately it's time. So
Yeah,
stoked
yeah,
about
and
that.
yeah, and of course, some folks are thinking you guys are getting Lane, and then others in Florida want Lane. A
Oh,
lot of people in Florida want to get on the Lane train, and so
supposedly Lane is ready to go. If Miami's job
really,
opens up,
there you go.
supposedly Lane is all aboard and ready to rock because he still has a house in Boca from when he
Right,
coached Florida Atlantic.
right. That's what I
So
heard.
at this point, my in my mind, the guy to get is Mario Cristobal. He played for Miami on a national championship team. He's going to bring the tenacity. The issue is there's probably no way they're going to get him from Nike. Nike's going to throw
No,
everything in this
the
world at
money.
Mario to keep him.
Yeah, it's going to be tough. It's going to be tough on the money side, and he's already showing that he can dominate the Pac-12.
See,
And
but this is where things get I think a little sideways. Dave is so supposedly Mario Cristobal. One of the things that he had said in the past was as long as Blake James was the athletic director at Miami, he would not
right,
coach at Miami.
right,
So that supposedly is also playing into the factor of now James is out. Um, we've seen it before with Willie Taggart going home, back to Florida.
yeah,
It
yeah,
could happen. It could
yeah,
happen. I hope
yeah,
it does.
yeah. We'll
I
see.
hope it does.
We'll
But
see.
but Lane Kiffin, I think he'd be a good choice too, as long as he keeps his head on straight. I mean, Lane
Yeah,
Kiffin in Miami with $8 million a year, he'd probably have that's good time Lane right there. Our
yeah.
recruiting would be fantastic.
Oh,
Offense would be
absolutely.
great. Um, if you were to hire somebody, DC wise like Ed Orgeron, oh, I'd lose my shit. Lane Kiffin and Ed Orgeron combination. I mean, Miami. I'm so glad I kept my season tickets. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
So
yeah,
we'll see. We'll see what happens. We'll see
yeah,
what happens.
yeah. We shall see. All right. So why don't we start with the Cristobal's team?
Oh yeah. What a lead in, Dave.
And
What a lead in. That's how we do it in the
yeah,
business.
we planned that to the T, didn't we?
That's right.
Gator, Dave, and Miami Mike just set that one up. So Oregon versus Utah, and this one I don't know. So Utah -3, so they're playing at Oregon, and Utah's getting the 3 points. I'm like, wow, favored by 3.
Yep.
Oregon 9-1. Now they are a measly 4-6 against the spread, so that tells you a lot there. Oregon's one loss was against Stanford on October 2nd, so it's been a minute. Oregon does have the 4th-ranked offense and the 4th-ranked defense in the Pac-12, and then Utah is 7-3, 4-6 against the spread. So they kind of look similar against the spread. The Utes have won their last 3 games. Utah ranked 5th in offense, 5th in defense, so right behind Oregon. So they're very similar there. The crossover game.
You love these
Arizona.
crossover games.
Arizona is the crossover. Utah
Arizona.
won by 9. Oregon won by 22. So you're going to see a pattern in my picks today until we get to your 2 at the end. But I'm going with Oregon. Get your 3 points, and I'm going with the Ducks
All
in
right.
this one.
It's a showdown pick to start it, Dave.
Yeah.
Week 12, baby, showdown. I'm on the Utes.
I think we have a lot of those today.
I'm on the Utes. It's all about the Utes. All right, so look, this is for Utah. This is for Utah. Miami,
okay.
Utah. You know, you stand united. Stand united. We're the real you, but you got to stand with them.
All right, we shall see. We'll see if that home field helps. You know, you were on there. You kind of liked him in the beginning, but I'm just not there.
I'm not sold on Oregon. I think this is the game that they slip up and lose to, and then they end up playing Utah again in the Pac-12 championship and probably beating them.
Yeah.
Still making a New Year's Bowl, but I think this is where they could slip up and drop it.
We shall see. Showdown.
A big thing also, Dave, to remember too in this type of situation is, like you said, there's no reason that Utah should be favored by 3 against a number 3 team in the country right now, right? So the fact that is
something's weird. You get all weird with those.
Take heed, take heed, folks. Take heed.
Something's funky. Something's funky. All right, we shall see. Next game, SMU at Cincinnati, the 5th-ranked team in the land. 5th-ranked team in the land's getting 11.5. They're playing at home. Easy money, right? SMU's 8-2, 5-4-1 against the spread. Mustangs lost to my mighty Memphis Tigers last week, and they lost to the number 17 Houston. That's their 2 losses. They are number 1 in the AAC in offense, averaging 500 yards per game and 41 points. Cincinnati 10-0, 5-5 against the spread. Bearcats have the number 1 defense in the AAC. So we got the clash. They're only giving up 16. The Bearcats haven't lost, but they had close games with Tulsa and Navy, both by just a touchdown against Tulsa and Navy. The crossover game or overlap game, haven't decided what I'm going to call that yet, is Tulsa, both 7 points in both wins.
Yep.
So, I am again going here with the underdog and saying, get your points and go with SMU in this situation.
Yeah, I had a feeling
Cincinnati will win, but get those points, and that's a good. What do you think?
I had a feeling you were going to go on that side. This is one that I'm just going to stay away from probably. I think I'd have to lean with you on that SMU side. SMU's got a great offense, but you got that Luke Fickell defense for Cincy, and they got to make a statement, right? I mean, if they barely win this game, you know, even a 7-point game, that's not going to be enough for them to get into the top 4. They really got to blow the doors off of this SMU team to make a statement to start creeping up into that playoff contention. Otherwise, they could go undefeated and be right there at number 5 and be on the bubble just to have it pop.
I think this one's I think this one's 10 somewhere. You know, that's why I think 11's a good number if you want to lay a couple of bucks on this one.
Yeah, it's up to 11.5 now.
Yeah, 11.5. Yeah.
So there's some money coming in on Cincy for that to push up, but yeah, it's going to be a good game. That's something interesting to watch for sure.
It is.
Yep.
All right. Let's see. Next up, we got the Wake Forest Deacons against Clemson, the lowly Clemson. Been a while since we said that. Clemson getting 4.5 here. Wake Forest 9-1, 4-5 against the spread. Wake's lone loss against North Carolina in a shootout. Like, what was it, 115 points or something? Wake has the number 1 offense in the ACC, scoring 44.7 points a game. Tigers are 7-3, 2-8 against the spread. They won 5 of the last 6 games. Clemson has. So that's why I think everybody's thinking, well, they're somewhat back. Last week, they demolished Connecticut, but DJU still can't throw for better than 50%. His completion rate. Against that crappy team, he was like 48%. Now, the Tigers do come in with the best D in the ACC, giving up only 15 points. So, obviously, they got a good shot on the D side. We know Wake's got pretty good offense. We like the quarterback.
Yep.
So, with that said, I am once again going with the underdog and saying, get your 4.5 points here and take Wake.
I am with you, sir. It's all about them Demon Deacons. This Clemson team, I'm with you. People are all of a sudden on them because they put together 5 of their last 6. They're still garbage. They were up on UConn was beating Clemson at Death Valley last week into the second quarter. Come on, people. This is not Clemson of old. Pay attention. This is disrespectful to Wake Forest. You know this has been up on their bulletin all year. Clemson is the team that's whooped their ass how many years in a row. This is their time. They beat Clemson. They're in the ACC champion. I mean, they've all but wrapped it up their birth into it anyway, but they beat this team right here. I think it's sealed up. It's over with. I'm pretty sure it's clinched. Then they have a shot against Pittsburgh. They could still make a New Year's 6 game. So, I mean, Wake Forest still has a lot of things in front of them. I think Clemson could come in napping with this one, especially being at home. I like Wake. I think their offense is for real. I think they'll be able to give it to Clemson. I don't think Clemson's going to be able to keep up. The worst offense in the ACC, and you know how strong the ACC is this year, Dave. So
yeah, they are strong.
I'm with you on the Demon Deacons. Let's ride.
Sure. I'm leaning toward that one being one that I really like.
Yeah.
I believe so. Not quite a lock, but a semi-lock. Right. So next, my team.
Yeah.
The mighty Florida Gators getting 9.
It's a bold word.
Against Missouri at Missouri. Gators 5-5, 3-7 against the spread, just tearing it up. They gave up a record 52 points against Stanford last week at the Swamp. Worst point total since the early 1900s in terms of a give up at the Swamp. The defense sucked. The Tigers have one of the best backs in the SEC, Tyler Beatty. 209 yards last week, dude had. The Gators, however, the defense sucked, but actually I watched through the first half. Emory did look pretty good, and he looked very consistent. 717 yards, which he should put up against Stanford.
True.
So I'm thinking they'll put up some points on Missouri. But they only mustered 340 yards against South Carolina 2 weeks ago, so I don't know, man. Mullen's looking lamer than a duck at this point, I'll tell you. And the Tigers 5-5, 2-8 against the spread. I mean normally I'd be going, shit, we'll go in there and kill them. Last week they beat South Carolina, who beat the crap out of the Gators. So put 2 and 2 together there, right? They've won 3 of the last 5 games Missouri has, better than the Gators have. So, it'd make the Tigers year if they beat the Gators, for sure. So, in this particular situation, I am once again going with the underdog and saying, get them points. We ain't winning by 10. So, get your points. We might win by 3 if we're lucky, but get your points and take Missouri. As bad as I want to say it.
That's rough.
It's real rough. Real rough.
Gator Dave going against his Gators.
I mean, the defense is horrible the last 2 weeks. Just horrible. I mean, this one might be one, I don't know what I'm looking, what the over-under is on this one.
69.
So 70 points. Yeah, stop being nasty, Mike. So 70 points, 35-35. Yeah, that's probably about where it'll be. Except it'll probably be 40-35 or something. We might be able to win this game, but it's not going to be by 10 points. So
bold. We'll see. I watched that. I watched that full game. Well, I won't say full, but we watched that game. Me and Ian G. He's in the chat right now. What up, Ian? What up, everybody else in the chat? We see you, James, Scott, Public. What up? What up?
And Ian, by the way, still thinks Florida State's going to win, but we'll somehow figure out a way to win that game. But go ahead. That's next week, Mike. Go ahead.
You probably will, unless they fire Mullen first, and then it might be.
Then we got nobody to call plays.
You got nobody to call plays on offense or defense. It's just going to be a shit show at that point.
Yeah.
But yeah, we'll see. We'll see.
It was terrible, that defense. But you got to admit that they tore them up on offense.
I mean, yeah, you should.
72 points.
It's Sanford, bro. You should. It's Sanford.
Should. But it's 72 points and almost 800 yards.
But the reason y'all even had to do that was because Sanford put up 40 on you in the first half.
True.
You had to keep up with. You had to keep up with Sanford.
Yes, true.
Problems in Gainesville.
Big problems in Gainesville.
Georgeville, as I like to call it.
All right, next game. Baylor versus K-State. And last I saw, it was like 1 point for K-State.
Correct.
So, and by the way, this one's a lock.
Oh, boy.
The Baylor Bears are 8-2, 7-3 against the spread. They have the third-ranked offense in the Big 12, second-ranked defense. Baylor's big win, obviously, over the Sooners last week after they tripped up by TCU. Now, the Kansas State is 7-3, 7-3 against the spread. They've got the 8th-ranked offense in the Big 12, 4th-ranked defense. Last week, they only beat Texas Tech by 1. They really only beaten the cellar dwellers, and they've gotten their ass kicked by the good teams. So they've done well against the bottom half. So they're like in the middle, right? So I'm thinking as long as Baylor's not too fired up about the big win against OU, that's the only thing I worry about. Because they do have to go into K-State. But I'll be honest with you, you can bet the money line here, and I think it's a lock for Baylor in this game.
Right on. Yeah, I don't know. I'm worried about it for the reason that you just said. It could be a big letdown game for them after beating Oklahoma the way that they did, pretty handily, too, at home. The last time they did that this year was at home against Texas. They gave them an upset there. Next week, the week prior, TCU lost. So we'll see. We'll see what Baylor team we get here. I think Baylor is probably the side. Another game that they had a letdown this year, they beat Iowa State at home. They beat them by 2. The following week, they went to Oklahoma State, lost by 10. So hopefully, maybe that's third time's the charm. They correct it, and they should. I mean, they have an opportunity, to play for that Big 12 championship. And maybe, crazier things have happened. They could sneak into that playoff spot. So they're still playing for something. Whereas Kansas State, they're just trying to get bowl eligible, I think, at this point.
Up-and-coming up-and-comer coach at Baylor, man, I'm telling you, this one's not even going to be close.
All right.
That was a lock for me.
Gator Dave lock.
Lock. All right. And by the way, that was the underdog again.
Man's on a trend. He's got trends. He's pointing them out, people. Pay attention.
Trends this week. It's the underdog week. All right. Next game, Colorado State versus Hawaii at Hawaii, right? You like that?
I do like this.
And it's 2.5. Colorado State's getting 2.5. You know, Colorado State's 3-7, 4-6 against the spread. They've lost their last 4 straight games. They got the 8th ranked offense and the 6th ranked defense in the Mountain West. Hawaii is booming much better. They're 4-7. 4-7 against the spread. Woo! Now Hawaii did have the big win against Fresno State. They have the 7th ranked offense, 11th ranked defense. But my gut on this one is go with the island and Hawaii at home. Get your 2.5 and go with Hawaii here in the underdog.
Right on. I like that. I do not like that Colorado State team. I've gone against them multiple times this year. Went against them last week. They played Air Force. They were the favorite. Air Force beat the brakes on. Well, I won't say beat the brakes, but they handled business, got the win at Colorado State. I think the same thing. Colorado State, they're not really playing for anything. You're going to Hawaii for a couple days. From Colorado, it's cold, snowing right now, and you're going to go to Hawaii and be able to chill and live it up. Nah, I like it. Hawaii plus, I'd even say plus 3.5, but maybe even just take a money line. I think that's something that they could sneak in too.
Yep.
That time delay is a big effect as well. So.
Yep. Absolutely.
Or time zone change.
Now we're going to get you the two you like. We might have to break my trend here, by the way.
All right. Let's see it.
Michigan State versus Ohio State, the number 1 game of the week. And you know what time this game is?
What time is it, Dave?
Noon. What
is it
the
really?
hell?
Wow.
It's a noon game.
That's just like the Big Ten. That's some real Big Ten stuff right there.
Yeah, no. Why do they do that? It's the best game of the week, and you got to watch it early. I guess no one cares about tailgating, so whatever. Makes no sense. Just like, by the way, Mr. Gleason, you know that the Florida State-Florida game is at noon. So that means we have to be there about 9:30 to start the tailgate at the latest, more like 9. You got that in? And public house. All right. So, Michigan State 9-1, 7-3 against the spread. Spartans' loss was to Purdue, who snuck up on a bunch of folks. Last week they beat Maryland 40-21. Thorne passed for 287 yards and Walker ran for 143. So pretty strong output there by Michigan State. Only gave up 21 against Tua's little bro. Ohio State 9-1, 5-4-1 against the spread. Buckeyes lone loss against Oregon, first game of the year. So CJ last week, Mr. Stroud, he was 40 of 52, 361 yards. The duo of Henderson and Williams ran for 217 yards. That offense is badass. And in my opinion, I still believe it's going to come down to that number 1 offense of Ohio State, number 1 defense of Georgia Bulldogs in the final game. That's what I'm saying right now.
Wow.
Now, the situation we have here is 19 damn points when you're talking about 2 top 10 teams playing.
Yep.
So, man, that's 19 points is tough to swallow. But Gator Dave's going to swallow the points and say,
Pause.
Ohio State U is going to beat the brakes off Michigan. The U, the current U right now.
That's disrespectful in itself.
I might buy it down to 18 or whatever, or 17, to make it fair. But yeah, Ohio State, and I know this will be a showdown game.
This is absolutely a showdown game. You are tripping. The Vegas odds makers are tripping. They're going off of what Ohio State has done since the beginning of the year, and I get it. It's it's a what you done. Who have they played?
No,
Who have they played?
Since the beginning of the year. It's the last few games. Their offense has gone like this, dude.
To be favored by yes, all right. The offense has been consistent, but the defense has been shaky. Well, it was shaky at the beginning of the year. It's been better lately, but
a lot better.
But nobody's been talking about Ohio State. Everybody sort of after they lost to Oregon at home, everybody sort of just we'll move on. Well, they're out of it. Well, we'll talk about everybody else. They're kind of out of it, and they've just been doing what they do. Right back to it every week. But to be up a favor of 19 points.
Showdown.
19 points against this Michigan State team is extremely disrespectful. That is extremely disrespectful. I like this game to this. I'll match you at the 17 because I like it. I'd probably take the 17.5, but I like it all the way down to that. Extremely disrespectful. Go Michigan State, especially a noon game. It's going to be cold. They're not even going to chance to get really drunk. They're going to be miserable. Sitting a bunch of Ohioans just sitting in the stands like this. This is boring. That's how they're going to feel. Go Michigan State, Spartans. Woo! Walker for Heisman.
All
right.
Next game you wanted. Auburn, South Carolina. Interesting game for sure as I dug into this one.
This is a lock, Dave. This is a lock.
Auburn is a 7.5 point favorite against South Carolina. So Auburn is 6-4, 5-5 against the spread. They've lost 3 of their last 5 games. Now, during that stretch, they did beat Ole Miss and Arkansas, who to me are better than South Carolina. But everybody thinks South Carolina's on the rise, so let them think that. Auburn's kicker is out. And our boy Bo, no Bo Nix this game, who's actually played decent. Listen, he actually played decent away against, it was LSU and another game that they won. I think it was the Arkansas game. We're both away, and he actually won those games, which is a major step. But we don't have to worry about Bo.
Mm-mm.
No Bo.
No Bo.
We have T.J. Finley.
That's right.
Last year, T.J. Finley was at LSU. All right. Now the Gamecocks are 5-5 against the spread. Gamecocks whooped my Gators butt 2 weeks ago. They only beat Vandy by 1, so which South Carolina team is showing up? Common opponent. We're now called it a third thing, Mike. We've now called it a common opponent, which I think that's the correct terminology, is Texas A&M. The Gamecocks lost by 30. Auburn lost by 17. That gives us a difference of 13. The home field advantage gives South Carolina 3 points, so man, my simple Memphis math comes up with 10, and I don't care if TJ Finley's running the show at Auburn. They're going to beat South Carolina. So I'm going Auburn and them 7.5 to cover.
I'm with you. I'm a little nervous on it. I'm not going to lie. The fact that TJ Finley is going to be the guy. He's got some experience last year with that LSU team, like you said. I mean, he played in like 4 or 5 games.
And one of the games he played a whole game in was against South Carolina, and they torched him. He
Okay.
threw for 260-something yards. Hell, if he throws for 200 yards with the running backs, I think it'll be enough here.
Right.
So this is one I'm not saying it's a lock, but it's probably one I'm going to put a little dough on for sure.
All right. All right, I respect it. I'm with you. I got 2 games that I'm gonna sneak in here on you, Dave. We're going 2. All right.
2 games. We're
2
sneaking in. All right, talk
games.
to me.
One we're gonna throw at you is the Iowa State Oklahoma game.
So,
Iowa
Iowa
State,
State.
Oklahoma. It's at Oklahoma. It's a 12 o'clock kick, Eastern time. Oklahoma is favored by 4.
Ooh.
Mm-hmm. Oof is right.
That's interesting. I was trying to get to that game, see what I could see here, but I'm way too damn slow getting to do the game. So, man, off the top of my head, Iowa State has been a bit of a roller coaster, which, of course, Oklahoma has too, but they've only lost the 1 game, and that was last week. I'll be honest. And what's the points again?
Oklahoma -4.
Okay, Oklahoma -4. So, in this situation, I'm thinking they're gonna be pretty pissed. Oklahoma's gonna be pissed here. It's a home game. They're gonna be pissed. They've been embarrassed. I just can't see them losing 2 games in a row. If it is, then maybe the Cowboys will be able to get a new coach and be able to take the Oklahoma coach, because they'll be calling for his damn head if they lose the game. So I'm gonna say 4 points. I'm gonna say they'll cover the 4.
We got another showdown then, Dave. I am on Iowa State.
All right.
I think they get it done. Oklahoma has sort of been a thorn in Matt Campbell's side for the last couple of years. They always play a really good game, and then Oklahoma sort of just snuck it out from them at the end. I think this is the one. This is the year. This Oklahoma team is so suspect. That's why they're ranked 13th after only 1 loss. Don't even say it's because they just lost that. No, it's not. Look at the committee and what they did with that Michigan State. If it was a matter of that, they'd still be in the top 10. Still have a shot at contention right now, and really they're kind of out of it. I think they know what's about to happen. I think Iowa State gets this upset and kind of exposes Oklahoma for who they are and really puts some heat and fire on Lincoln Riley and Norman, and they're going to have either a tough decision to make, whether to pursue Lincoln and throw, some more money at him, throw some things at him to keep him, because there's a lot of talk right now with him going to LSU or one of these other jobs. Or does he now look at these other options like, okay, maybe I'm gonna get out of town before something happens and peace out.
Maybe I root for Iowa State. Maybe Florida can get Lincoln Riley. Hell, if he's ready to go, I'll take him.
That actually would be an annoyingly good fit, I think.
I would take him.
That would actually be a pretty good fit. The problem would still be defense, though. I mean, what are you going to do about defense? That's your issue right now.
They got to get a good D coordinator. He'll be able to get better defensive players down in Florida than he would in the middle.
What about Ed Orgeron?
Oh, I'd take him as a D coordinator.
No, I'm talking about your head coach.
No.
No.
Nah. No, it's
God, I hope Orgeron doesn't go
You've already
be
talked
your
about
DC.
the top 2
that'd be
coaches
so
to me.
annoying.
The top 2 coaches available or that people might want that are leaving are Cristobal and Kiffin.
Right.
Are the top 2 in my opinion, and then you got the guy down there in Louisiana. What's his name? I'm not real happy with him either, so I don't know. But the best 2 are Cristobal and Lane, and you're going to get one of them for sure.
I hope
at
so.
Miami. So
I hope so.
no doubt in my mind, man.
Oh,
But
I hope so.
I won't call that a lock at all, and it's not a showdown either.
I mean, we could still do something lazy though, and like go get Butch Davis, because Butch Davis isn't going to be.
Butch Davis, they're talking about for the AD.
I have not heard
Did
that.
you not hear that?
No.
Yes.
No, I've heard for AD. I heard a couple of guys, like a couple out of the Pac-12.
Yeah, right, Ian.
And then I heard, Gino Torretta, the former Heisman quarterback for us, being AD.
Yeah. That guy's got a head this big though. Torretta does.
Yeah, another guy was Alonzo Highsmith, but apparently he just wants to be football oriented. So he's probably looking like the director of operations kind of deal.
Yeah.
But we'll see. I would love it. I think in my heart of hearts, I'd love to see it. But in my heart of hearts, I just feel like we're gonna do some Miami stuff and hire Dinkleberry Johnson and give the reins to old Dinkleberry and just let it ride. So we'll see.
That's my bet.
We'll see.
Hey, you haven't fired the coach yet.
Yeah.
That's got to come, but.
So again, if you want to talk about that really quick, that Miami plays Virginia Tech this week. Miami's an 8-point favorite at home. It's senior day.
Virginia Tech just fired their coach.
I don't know if we cover. I really don't.
You can win though. As long as you win, everybody will be happy.
Ooh, I don't. It's gonna be
your 30,000 in the stadium, and they'll be happy.
We'll be lucky to have 30,000 in that stadium, sir. We'll be lucky to have 13,000 in that stadium.
That's sad. Right, which tells you're not going to get those two coaches, but we'll save that for another day, buddy.
No. That's why we will get those two coaches. We gotta get butts in the seats, Dave. We gotta bring that money in. We gotta do it for the med school. For the children, Dave. It's for the children.
Yeah.
All right, one more for you.
What's your next game?
Wyoming at Utah State.
Oh, come on, dude.
Yep, I knew you'd love this one. That's why I threw it at you. I knew you'd be a fan of it.
Yeah, because I don't know crap. Wyoming.
Yeah, baby.
At Utah State.
That's right, the Aggies. The Cowboys versus the Aggies. A classic Western duel.
Yeah, and we have Utah State 5.5. Goodness gracious. Let's see what 7-3. We bet Utah State before this year.
We have.
I
like their defense.
6. Hey, so going off of just my gut, they're playing at home at Utah State. Oh, this one looks on the surface like a good bet, Mike. So Utah State is 8-2, 7-3 against the spread. Wyoming is 5-5, 3-6-1 against the spread, and they're playing at Utah State. Unless Utah, I'd have to go Utah State here.
Yep, that's the side that I'm on too. I watched Wyoming. I don't know why I watched this game, but I watched Wyoming versus UConn earlier in the year, and UConn put up almost 50 points on them, barely lost to Wyoming. I like Utah State's defense. I think at home they get it done. I like them to cover that. If this number gets back up to 7, it started at 7 at the beginning of the week, and there's been some money on Wyoming. If it even gets back up to 7, I think you're still good.
I think so too.
But yeah, I'm with you on the Aggies here.
I think this is a good one. I think this is a good, again, one to play for sure. I see where you found it. I don't dig that deep when I don't know enough. That's a good one, though.
Oh, yeah, you got to snipe them, Dave. You got to snipe them.
I know. So, I'm looking over in the chat, and I'm seeing that Ian Gleason is bowing out. At the beginning of the year, he was all fired up about going to the Florida State game, and now he wants to wimp out. I mean, what the heck? Come on, Ian.
Come on, Ian.
What the heck?
What the heck?
I got an extra ticket. Jared can go. Public house. Come on, Ian. What's up, buddy? You and your dad don't want to go. Talk to me, big cat.
Ian, I don't know if you see that in the chat there, Dave, but Ian thinks Brent Venables is going to be Florida's guy.
So that he's been tossed out there. It wouldn't, when we start talking coaches, everybody always talks the top guys, and then the top guys don't ever want to move.
Right.
And it ends up being somebody else. And obviously, that's definitely one that I think the Florida fans would definitely go. I know they would go for it without a doubt. But they think he's untouchable, and he's going to wait for the perfect ACC cookie.
I mean, there's not a lot of better team or markets than the Gators in the nation. I mean, unfortunately, I hate to say it, but SEC team, great annoying fan base. It's
exactly.
Yeah, I think it would be a good fit. Unfortunately, for the rest of the nation, I think Venables in Florida would be a really good fit. However, how do you think that he would do? Being in the SEC as a first-time head coach and handling that and making the right hires, because that's the biggest really part is getting those right guys in with him.
He's got to get a good offensive coordinator if that were to happen, because we've got to keep the offense going. I mean, if you look at, he's by far the best defensive coordinator that's been in the last. Hell, probably since Kirby, right? So, obviously that would be huge, but he'd have to get somebody that could run a good offense. I mean, his recruiting look, he probably gets at least 3 defensive 5-stars every year.
Yep.
And he's been building that defense forever, so. It'd be great. I mean, I hope you're right, Ian, but, we'll see. We'll see.
Yep,
because he's got to go sometime. Now might be the time to go when they've kind of got, they've kind of lost their touch on the offensive side. So
right.
Could be.
I mean, it makes sense. You definitely need some sort of defensive mind in that locker room ASAP.
Yeah. No question about it, but like I say, from the very beginning, I told you guys that the dumbass move, no one would be pissed at Mullen had he not fired Grantham at the end of last year and got a new DC in there. I mean, that's where he screwed up.
Right.
I mean, we probably could have lived with it, and they would have been better. I don't give a shit who it was. They would have been better than what they are this year, and we probably would have won 2 more games at least, and we could have lived with a couple of losses.
Right.
But the dumbass, the hard-headed arrogance is what people are pissed about. I mean, a year ago, everybody loved Danny. It's a great offense. We're excited about this offense, and we knew there was going to be a degrade from Kyle Trask because the dude was almost selected in the first round. He was one of the best quarterbacks in the NCAA last year, and our offense was amazing. So you take that away. You take Kyle Pitts away. That you can't replace that unless you're Alabama or Georgia. So I think we could have lived with that. But it's that damn arrogance, hard-headedness that is that's why people are calling for his head now. And he just made the move last year, at the end of last year, we wouldn't be where we are right now. Because, I'm okay with Mullen in that offense. I love it.
Right.
But it's stupid. And then to get arrogant about your recruiting when it's not where it should be either. That's the other reason why that Grantham should have been fired and that offensive line coach should have been fired because they weren't recruiting worth a shit.
Right.
So.
Well, that's sort of been Dan Mullen's track record, too, where he's been, right? He's had issues getting the right guys on the defensive side of the ball.
Yeah.
Even when he was at Mississippi State, I mean, that offense clicked when he had Dak Prescott, but that defense was pretty suspect at times.
Yeah.
One of his guys, Manny Diaz, the current head coach of Miami. So.
Yeah. That's right.
And look at his defense right now. Not great. Not great.
No. They got a lot of injuries on that team. I was looking at the list.
We got a lot of guys out this week too. I'm telling you, I hate it. I'm not, picking it. I didn't put it on this in our list, but it was a game that I really think Virginia Tech they're getting way too many points in that game against Miami. I think that game's going to be a lot closer than that, if not Virginia Tech winning that outright. I really do. As much as I hate to say it, we got a lot of guys out. It lines up for that game. Like, this is the game that really does Manny in, regardless. Next week we have Duke. We could lose at Duke. There's a shot that we lose at Duke. That is such a problem.
No, there's no way. That team's horrible, Mike.
All right, Dave, you remember this. After next week, that following Tuesday, when we start talking about, conference championship game matchups, remember this conversation about that Duke-Miami game, sir. We'll talk about it again next week beforehand, but...
Absolutely.
Because, watch, especially if we beat Virginia Tech, it's going to be like a 20-point spread, 20-point, 28-point. Watch.
Yeah, but all you got to do is win.
Watch. Duke Senior Day, I'm telling you, it's going to be cold in North Carolina. The writing is on the wall. The writing is on the wall. If it's not this week for Manny, it's next week. It doesn't matter who the AD is. Lane Kiffin or Mario Cristobal. It's all about it. And the 4th and 14 isn't really even what broke the spirit of Miami. It was the 4th and 17 against North Carolina that broke us. The 4th and 14 slit our throats and threw us in a pit of acid. So now we got to recuperate. We got to go full Joker and go get Mario or Lane and turn the swag back on at the U.
Yeah, I thought you guys were going to do that for the last hire. That's what I was hearing from you guys. So we'll see.
I mean, it was supposed to be the new Miami. That was the hashtag. Was the new Miami, and we look like a worse new Miami. It's a new Miami, but it's worse. It shouldn't be this. So we'll see. We'll see what happens. We got good young talent. We just need the right guys to lead them. And we could have something sweet next year as long as we get the right leadership in there.
Yeah. So we got 3 showdown games. Oregon and Utah.
I like the 3. That means we're going to have an outright winner for sure.
And Oregon, Utah. And the next one was Michigan State, Ohio State. And that's a big point thing because we know Ohio State's going to win. And then Oklahoma and Iowa State. Those are our 3 showdown games this week.
Right. Go Utes. Go Utes.
Yeah, right.
Go Utes.
Yeah, I'm going with Nike. All right. Any closing comments there, Mike?
No, I think
commercial announcements.
I think we hit it all. Make sure to subscribe if this is your first time watching, or if this is your second time watching, or third or fourth, and you haven't subscribed. Let's talk about this. Why? Why is that? Just hit the button.
Why?
Just hit the button. Show support.
Why?
Give us a like. Jump in the chat. Ask us about some games. We're happy to help any way that we can. You got anything for us, Mr. Gator Dave, before we sign off for the week?
No, it's tough to wake up a Gator fan right now. That's the way it is. But I'll still be rooting for my Gators the next 2 weeks.
You beat Samford, man. You gotta.
We beat Samford.
Like Dan Mullen said, you've never had a win that you shouldn't celebrate.
And we were dancing about it in the locker room.
They're gonna put that in the weight room, right on the wall. That quote right there by Dan Mullen should go in the weight room. Celebrate them all. I feel you, Dan. I feel you.
Yeah. Crazy. Yeah. So, all right. I'm still rooting for my Gators. I think they can pull it off. If they do, it's going to be close. If they do pull this thing off, but definitely won't cover that point spread. So But I'm rooting for them. I'll have the flag raised in front of the house and, wrap this thing up with a big hearty go Gators.
Oh, boy. All right. Go Utes. Go Utes, baby. All right, Dave. Good luck this week. Good luck, everybody. We'll catch you next week.
Have a good evening, folks.
All right.